Jacobs and the quarterback sneak, and he finds a hole, but he fumbles, and Argonauts recover on the Winnipeg 19.
A dramatic climax to the first overtime Grey Cup game.
McQuaid sweeping left, fumbles the ball. Reggie Holmes recovers for Calgary.
You are watching ESPN Classic Canada's 2004 Grey Cup Roadshow from the Aberdeen Pavilion in Ottawa. Welcome to Ottawa, Ontario, site of the 92nd Grey Cup Classic and the home of our Grey Cup Roadshow here on ESPN Classic Canada. And hi, everybody. Welcome inside the Aberdeen Pavilion. Dave Randorf with you, Chris Schultz alongside, CFL football analyst. And we're right across the street, Chelsea, from Frank Clair Stadium, where they're going to play for the Grey Cup on Sunday. The Argos and BC Lions. Grey Cup week's always special. You've been there before as a player and a broadcaster.
Very special. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play in 2 Grey Cups. Back in 1987, I was on a football team that played their best football at the second half of the year and then lost the game on a 48-yard field goal by somebody. I don't remember the kicker's
Gary
name.
Cork.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Yeah.
And then in 1991, 13 wins, 5 losses, kind of streamlined all the way through and finally won the Grey Cup. And I tell you, for the players, it means everything because you get that ring, and that really kind of puts together the entire career for a lot of these players. So it's important to win the football game, to win the 92nd Grey Cup.
Over the next hour, we're going to reminisce, talk some football with some old-time Ottawa Rough Riders, guys who have been to the Grey Cup before, and they're going to share their experiences. But before we get to that, we thought we'd look back on the history of the big game itself right here in the nation's capital.
The city of Ottawa first hosted the Grey Cup back in 1925, and appropriately, the hometown squad represented the host city in the big game. Known as the Ottawa Rough Riders since 1898, the franchise changed its name to the Ottawa Senators in 1925, and the change resulted in the club's first Grey Cup title. The Senators defeated the Winnipeg Tammany Tigers 24-1, capturing its first of back-to-back championships. The city next hosted the title game in 1940, albeit in a somewhat unusual fashion. For the first and only time in Grey Cup history, a 2-game total point series was used to declare the winner between Ottawa, known as the Rough Riders once again, and Toronto Balmy Beach. The format was introduced by the Canadian Rugby Union when it refused the Western Division admission into the Grey Cup for using rules different from the East during the season. Ottawa defeated Toronto Balmy Beach 20-7 in the 2-game series to capture their first Grey Cup as the Rough Riders. 27 years later, the championship game was back in Canada's capital in the nation's centennial year, and the party was a good one. The game featured Ralph Sazio's Eastern Division champion Hamilton Tiger Cats against Eagle Keys and the Western champion Saskatchewan Roughriders. Playing before 31,000 spectators at Lansdowne Park, the Tiger Cats were determined to capture their second Grey Cup in 3 years, and led by quarterback Joe Zuger, they put points on the board early.
Joe Zuger on the quarterback sneak, touchdown.
Zuger's TD plunge came at a cost, however, as he re-broke his nose, originally injured in the East Final. But that didn't stop him as he hit Ted Watkins in the second quarter for the 72-yard touchdown to put the Ticats up 14-1. And that was more than enough for the Ticats on this day, as the swarming Hamilton defense harassed Saskatchewan's legendary duo of Ron Lancaster and George Reed into short gains and turnovers, icing the game with a Billy Ray Conklin fumble recovery touchdown late in the fourth. Sazio and the Ticats capture their third Grey Cup of the decade. 21 years after that, Ottawa hosted the CFL title game once more, as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and BC Lions squared off before 60,000 fans at Lansdowne. Matt Dunnigan's Lions had upset both Saskatchewan and Edmonton on the road to reach the Grey Cup, while Winnipeg had knocked off the 14-4 Toronto Argonauts, earning their title berth. The scoring was fast and furious in the first as the Lions came out flying. Early scores by Anthony Cherry and David Williams had the Lions up 14-7, but Bombers all-star receiver James Murphy was about to take over.
James Murphy makes the catch. He's still going.
Murphy's 35-yard touchdown tied the game at 14, and it looked like whoever had the ball last would win this one. But in the second half, both defenses stepped up and refused to let the offenses break out anymore. And the biggest plays of all would come from Bomber defensive tackle Michael Gray.
And the BC Lions are going for it. This could be a very big play right here. Dunnigan keeps. He's not going to make it.
Gray led the charge as the Bombers stuffed Dunnigan on this third down gamble in the third quarter, which would lead to a Trevor Kennard field goal and cut BC's lead to 18-17. Then, late in the fourth, after a Kennard field goal put the Bombers up 22-19, Dunnigan had marched the Lions deep into Bomber territory when Gray would come up with the play of the game.
Dunnigan looking into the end zone. It's deflected. Intercepted by Winnipeg's Michael Gray.
Gray's interception off a tip ball would seal the game for Winnipeg, earning him the Defensive MVP award. Head coach Mike Riley would win the prize that eluded his father Bud for 15 years in the CFL as Riley's Bombers capture the 9th Grey Cup in club history.
You know, our old buddy Matt Dunnigan, that one still hurts. That interception.
He talks about that all the time.
Yeah, the one that he threw right in that stadium right across from us. But he went back to the big game with you in 1991 against the Argos, against the Calgary Stampeders. Tell us about that one.
Well, Dave, I'll tell you, the number one thing I remember is it was minus 17 Celsius at the beginning of the game. The nice clear skies, but cold is cold. And we had the hardest time just kind of warming up for the game. I mean, we were a high-profile team. We had Gretzky, Candy, McNall, everyone across the CFL Football League was very, very jealous of our success, and nobody wanted us to win that game. No one in Winnipeg wanted us to win that game. And then the whole thing about Matt Dunnigan throughout the week was playing with a separated shoulder. He knew he could play if he was willing to freeze the shoulder. He froze the shoulder at the beginning of the game, but not everyone knows at halftime he took another needle for the team in the shoulder. And if he didn't do that, I'm not sure we would have won that game. We played great defense, played perfect special teams, but thank God Matt Dunnigan had the guts to do that because it was his leadership that made the difference. It made everybody else want to win that game that much more.
Yeah, and there's one of the great story of him throwing in a hotel ballroom to Mike McCarthy, who was the GM at the time. It's one of the great stories. There's all kinds of great legends in Grey Cup time. And we're going to get into that with some guests here on ESPN Classic Canada, the Grey Cup Road Show. When we come back, Schultz and I will be joined with Hall of Famer Jerry Soupy Campbell and his old former Ottawa Rough Rider quarterback, Rick Casada. That's all coming up on the Road Show. Welcome to the Grey Cup Road Show here in Ottawa, the Aberdeen Pavilion on ESPN Classic Canada. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, and we're going to start things off with the two great guests, two former Ottawa Rough Riders, Grey Cup champions. To my left here, you got Jerry Soupy Campbell, member of the Canadian Pro Football Hall of Fame. And to his left, you have Rick Casada, former quarterback for the Ottawa Rough Riders out of Syracuse University. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. And how are you enjoying being back in Ottawa for Grey Cup
First
week?
time for a while for me, and I know it's been first time for Rick, too. But like I haven't been here since last summer, which I played in the golf tournament, Ryder golf tournament. But this is my first time for a while. And to see the group and a lot of people that you know of and haven't seen for years, to see them. Neat.
Now, Rick, you're a quarterback. You're an intelligent young man. Why are you friends with Soupy Campbell?
Well, that came by accident. My first year here, Jack Gotta says, see Carl Foley, who you want to be roommates with you on the road, and we leave tomorrow. And by the way, Casada and Campbell, you're rooming together. I think it's the first time in the history of the game we're at a quarterback room with the middle linebacker.
Yes. And you stayed in touch over all these years, and as time has gone on?
Well, yeah, because I have to house him when he comes up, and he houses me when I
go down there.
That's good. That's
right.
good.
Free rent.
Now, Soupy, you played in 3 Grey Cups.
Yes.
68, 69, 73. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which one is your best memory? Which one you either played the best or was the best football team?
73.
73?
That's my man.
No kidding.
I mean, yeah, because I believe it or not, because we had talent in 68, 69.
Yeah.
We had talent. We had a bunch of renegades, idiots, in 73 that somehow we just were together and just played football. Like we weren't really talented.
Yeah.
But we had like we were tough. We were hard nosed. like games are always like 18s, 14s, and they're like I think the most points we scored was like 22. Wasn't
We
it,
were like the Oakland Raiders. I mean, we were just a bunch of guys that got along famously.
Yeah.
We started off the season 0-4 in preseason.
Oh yeah.
Regular
Wonderful.
season starts we're 0-4. So we just lost 8 straight. They're ready to hang me. And all of a sudden, we win 13 in a row and win the Grey Cup.
Wow.
So
figure that one out.
And who was the coach then?
Jack got it.
Oh, yeah.
And you beat the Edmonton Eskimos 22-18. What do you remember specifically about that Grey Cup at C&E Stadium?
I remember Rome Nixon beating my buddy Billy Cooper on the post pattern.
Yeah.
Jim Evenson running off tackle for an 18-yard run, and Larry Highball at the 5-yard line wanted no part of him.
Yeah.
And by the way, flying over C&E Stadium going to Mexico a couple years ago, I see that they tore it down.
Yes.
It's gone now,
So
right?
there's some
gone now.
some memories lost there, but
Yeah.
it's the fact that we won the game means 100 times more than had we lost the game. I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Hey, Subi, let me talk to you about the different running backs you played against, because you played in an era with some great CFL legendary running backs. What are your memories about those players?
Dave Ramey.
Dave Ramey.
Don't even try to tackle.
No kidding.
You hope he trips over you.
Right.
Because he's going to duke you so bad that you're going to fall down. You hope he trips over you. Because I tell you, he had moves that he was so quick and it was solid.
Yeah.
He wasn't a big man, but God almighty.
I have to ask you about George Reed.
George was, he was in front of you.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So you knew he was there.
Yeah. Because you know George's going to be like he's not going to do fancy unless he gets past the line of scrimmage, maybe 10 yards, and now he starts maybe go to the outside. But everything's in front of you. But with Dave Ramey, you could be there 1 second and just be there.
He was fast.
That much. Crazy.
Rick, the players that you played against or with, the guys that really stand out in your mind?
Probably Rome Nixon, Huey Oldham. I called them my Barnum and Bailey and cleats.
Yeah.
They were
Mutton,
Huey Oldham looked like Sammy Davis Jr. and Rome Nixon looked like Bill Cosby.
They didn't play like Sammy Davis.
No. But I called them my Barnum and Bailey and cleats. I had 2 of the great wide receivers. We just had a bunch of renegades that just we hit it off real good, and we weren't the best team in the league, but I tell you what, we were the toughest.
You bet. I agree on that, because I tell you, one thing, Schulte, we had some attitude.
Yeah.
We had guys that, one time we had wife traders, for sake.
Hello. We were told beforehand we can't tell stories.
Oh, we can't.
Yeah. That's all right. There's an edit button here somewhere.
Right. All right. Let's change subject, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, seriously, both of you guys played here. You played also in Calgary there, Soupy, and you played in a lot of places, Rick.
Yes.
But we're talking about Ottawa football, and how nice is it to have CFL football back in the nation's capital after it went away for a few years there?
Well, I'm up here. Buffalo's only 5.5 hours, so I'm here 2-3 times a year.
Really?
And I maintain Dan Dever, my daughter's godfather's here, and I've over the last 25 years I've maintained fans, teammates, friends, and coaches. So I'm up here 2 or 3 times a year.
That's
when
great.
I leave Western New York and come up the New York State Thruway, and I get to this city, this is other than Hawaii, where I played, this is my favorite city of my life.
Soupy, similar for you?
Yeah, well, because I still maintain a lot of buddies. And, of course, Cosmos is here, and he's got 3 bars, and so, holy cats, guess where I'm going to be. and let alone, and what's amazing about it, how many teammates stayed and live here.
Yeah.
And now they have daughters and kids and daughters, and now they just are and very solid citizens of the neighborhood.
Yeah, making contribution to the area.
Yeah, that's right. And I love it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
I want to know what you guys think about Grey Cup week then and now, because now it's becoming bigger and bigger. A lot of people coming in. Has it changed or not?
Well, I played in one Grey Cup, so we had curfews and everything, so I didn't get to see it. So actually, this is my first Grey Cup where I'm able to let my hair down, and I'm going to be pretty loose. With drinking with some BC fans
That's what it's all about.
And some Argo fans.
What about you, Stu? What are your?
Well, I'm going to let my hair down too. 'Cause I have plenty of it. No. Like I said, like being around Rick and a lot of buddies that I haven't seen for years, and some good teammates that are coming in that I haven't seen for a while. Love hanging around them, and the football intensity of it. You know, you kind of, and Schultz's been,
I remember.
You can feel. You
know,
get that kind of the hair gets up a little bit.
Well, I talk a lot about the emotion of this game leading into a Grey Cup, and tell the fans or tell the people that have never experienced what it's like to play in Canada's game. I mean, going and running out on that football field, knowing you're representing a team in the Canadian Football League, the emotions for me were really extreme. And I'm sure they were for you too.
Yeah, but like, you know, like we talked about the game is like is speed.
Yeah,
it's incredible speed, Dave. Everything ain't in front of you, man. It's on the side. It's there 1 second and over here this next.
Especially as a middle linebacker.
And crackback blocks.
Oh yeah.
You know,
you're pretty good at that too, I think.
One added thing, Soup, is we're on the way up here talking to my wife. I'm going to see guys, you're going to see guys we haven't seen in 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And if I haven't seen them in 25 to 30 years, I'll probably never see them again the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So this is kind of extra special. I brought my camera. It's fully loaded, and it's good. We're going down memory lane all weekend.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic indeed. I'll quickly ask both of you if you want to chime in with your thoughts on the matchup for Sunday's Grey Cup.
Well, mine is easy. I finished my career in BC. They wouldn't give me any more knee operations. But the Toronto Argonauts of 2004 is exactly what the 1973 Ottawa Rough Riders were about. They're not supposed to be here. Their quarterback is just an average quarterback. They do it on defense, special teams. So I got to go with Toronto on that respect that we weren't supposed to be there in 73 and had a chance to go to one Grey Cup, and the fact that we won it is a million times better than had we lost.
Had you lost, it's
Soup,
so
what do you like?
You know, my thing too is because I see the weather out here, and both teams are indoor teams, and it's going to be who adjusts to the elements. I'd say that's one of my reasons, and because it might affect Toronto, because I think Toronto's got maybe a little more speed.
Yeah.
And if the element gets any worse or anything, which it shouldn't be. But it the cold weather might change the time.
Make a big difference.
Some of the, some of the guys from down south.
Right.
Yeah.
Rick, Casada, Jerry, Soupy Campbell, thank you very much for taking the time. I'd say enjoy yourselves this week, but you already are.
Yeah.
You're ahead of me there. Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll speak with Canadian Pro Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman Kay Vaughn as we continue with the 2004 Grey Cup Roadshow on ESPN Classic Canada. Welcome back to the Aberdeen Pavilion in Ottawa for the Grey Cup Roadshow here on ESPN Classic Canada. And Chelsea says, finally, we got an offensive lineman to talk to here. Not only not any old lineman, a Hall of Fame lineman. Yes. Our pleasure to welcome Kay Vaughn. Hi, Kay. How are you?
Very, very well.
Enjoying?
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I was an offensive lineman and a defense.
I know. I was getting to that. I was getting to that. Yeah. He played all over the place.
Yeah.
He won a Shenley twice for that was for O-line play, though, right?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Really?
In those days, there was just one lineman selected.
One lineman award.
So you went against the linebackers, everybody.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You guys were busy. Did you get extra pay for that?
You think?
You wish, yeah?
About as much as I'll get for this.
But come on, you're having a good time so far, I hope.
Yeah.
Hey, Kay, let's go back to 1960, your Grey Cup appearance against Edmonton, Vancouver's Empire Stadium. What are your memories about that game?
Well, first of all, we won. We beat Edmonton, which we probably wouldn't have, but Johnny Bright was hobbled the whole day, which took a lot of their effectiveness away. But I scored the only touchdown that I scored in 19 years of football, and I scored the winning touchdown in the Grey Cup.
That's right. Not a bad way to do it. Tell us about it.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, Lou Bruce, one of our Canadian ends, great little guy, he hit the Rolly Miles coming out of the end zone on a punt on about the 2-yard line, and Rolly coughed it up. Yep. I fell on it and slid into the end zone. In those days, you could advance the ball as long as it was moving. You know, as you and the ball were moving.
Okay, you could have said that you picked it up and ran 50 yards.
Okay, you've had 40 years to embellish that story.
You're not going to.
Come on.
We're in Ottawa, and I don't want to get tomatoes and everything. They all know here.
Tell us about Frank Clare.
Frank, well, we just mentioned about Russ, you know, and then Frank has this image of being so astute and being the professor and everything. But the thing I like the kid about is Russ was here 2 years before he became a quarterback, and Frank was playing him at defensive half. Made a hell of a defensive half, but Russ did need some work, and Frank worked with him. And Frank was a very easygoing guy as long as you did your job and didn't get other than for Bobby Simpson. Bobby could do anything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
The rest of us had to. But he had the line coach Bill Smith. A lot of people. He was the big, mean, rough guy, and he took charge and did the dirty work for Frank. And Frank sat around and read the films all day and made the game plan.
Okay, what was football like in Ottawa during that era?
It was a fun time. We didn't draw when I first arrived here. There wasn't the south stands, and there were you could park cars all the way around. And if we got 10, 11,000, that was a pretty good day. But and we only played, I think, 8 or 9 games, and then the playoffs with the 2-game total points.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then we'd go back and forth to Montreal, play Labor Day doubleheader Saturday and Sunday.
Oh my goodness!
You know, and
Saturday and Sunday.
And both ways.
That's incredible.
Those were, as we used to say, those were 20 Benny weekends. 20 Benny. Yeah.
Blue ones and yellow ones and
now,
red
could you
ones.
imagine? Now, when you woke up Sunday from the game on Saturday, what did you say?
Well, I didn't go to church, I'll tell you that. But we just, get ready again, and you hurt. But once you got back into it,
you just got back in the rhythm.
But in those days, all the Americans were playing both ways.
Yeah.
So you didn't make a lot of enemies because you were going to meet them again, offense, defense,
the very next series.
Saturday, Sunday, you're going to meet them. So you'd be patting guys on Tex Calder. I used to walk down between quarters and say, nice job, because I was 220 and Tex was 270. You know, so
you probably can't even imagine playing back-to-back days like that, and then those playoff series, 2 games total points. Those 2 games, playoff games, were played in what, 2 or 3 days or something?
2 days.
Oh my goodness.
2 days.
We'd play here, take the train to Montreal that night, play Sunday.
That's a lot of football.
But the train coming back on Sunday night, that was
a good time.
When it was all over.
Yeah.
You've also been inducted into the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame.
Yes,
that's a very prestigious honor.
That was one of the great moments of my football career. I was very proud of that, and still am.
Good for you.
As you should be, as you should be. I want to ask you about the era that you've been talking about here for the Ottawa Rough Riders. That's still probably considered to this day the golden era of Ottawa football, professional football. You must be pretty proud of that.
Well, I look back, and we didn't have any outstanding teams. We were always just kind of middle, but none of the other than Montreal and Hamilton, they'd have some great years, but we were always there. We were kind of always in second place with, records of, about 9-7 or something like that. We never were overwhelming. In fact, the Grey Cup year, 60, we lost our first 5 ball games. Then we won 9 in a row, lost 1, and then run the table. But only with Bobby Simpson's sleeper play against Toronto in the second game.
I remember that.
That put us in the Grey Cup. A stupid play. But Bobby pulled it off.
Wow. Now, do you stay in touch with any of the people that you played football with in that championship team?
They're very close, very close. Tonight, there's the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, and there'll probably be 16 or 18 guys off that team.
Time.
Not only the Canadian boys stayed here, but a lot of the Americans. Yeah. They made, we made our livelihood here, and we stayed here.
Well, there's a lot of great names, and I've asked you about Frank Clare, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your memories of playing with Russ Jackson back then. Tell us a little about him.
Well, Russ was much younger then, and didn't have, like he was searching for his leadership qualities, I'd say, and I think one of the funny stories that I can relate to is one week we talked him into taking a Benny, and Russ was the wrong guy because quarterback shouldn't be taking Bennies, eh? And he got all upset and mean and violent. And he come into the huddle and he was cursing us, which Russ never does. calling us all kinds. Finally, we said, Russ, settle down. Let us do that kind of stuff, you know. But he was a great leader, and he had a lot of confidence. Very, very celestial, very bright. But still, I wouldn't say one of the boys truly, because he was teaching school every day and stuff. But he had fun playing the game, and the guys respected him, had a lot of fun with him.
Well, I know that you're probably having a ton of fun here, reminiscing with a lot of old teammates you used to play with. So enjoy the week, and thank you very, very much for taking the time out to visit with us.
And I always wanted to sit next to this big.
Well, who doesn't?
You know, my son played what,
yes.
1 year with?
We played together. His son back with the Toronto Argonauts. Defensive back, very good.
Kayvon, Hall of Fame offensive and defensive lineman back in the day in the Ottawa Rough Riders golden era. Now what we're going to do is present you with the a little list that we came up with, Kay, the all-time great playoff moments in Canadian Football League history.
Number 10, 1970, Owls and Stamps. Sonny Wade pitches to Bruce Van Ness, who gets it downfield on the halfback option. Montreal would score and eventually win the Grey Cup. Number 9, 1980, Warren Moon showing off his speed. Rolls out and hits Tommy Scott, who avoids being tagged and runs it in. Number 8, 1994, Baltimore and the USA get a shot in the Grey Cup.
Intercepted by Walton. He laterals it off to Carl Anthony, and Anthony will get to the end zone.
Number 7 comes from 1968. Vic Washington takes the toss and fumbles the ball, only to recover it on one bounce and run it 79 yards for the score. Number 6, 2002, Montreal and Edmonton, Anthony Calvillo and Pat Woodcock hook up for history.
And look out! Pat Woodcock could go! Only Malcolm Frank, he's not going to get there. And the Canadian speedster has a 99-yard touchdown.
Number 5, 1989, Saskatchewan and Hamilton. Ticats down 7 late in the 4th.
Into the end zone.
Tony Champion's touchdown catch put the Ticats ahead, but the Riders would come back to win a thriller for Saskatchewan. 1996, Eskies and Argos and Gizmo Williams makes history.
Crease, and now he'll get outside over midfield. Henry Williams, Vanderjagt trying to track him down, won't do it.
Number 3 comes from 1954, Eskimos and Alouettes. Edmonton opens the scoring with Rolly Miles taking the pitch, turns it outside, hits a dead end, then turns it around and throws a touchdown pass. Edmonton would go on to win by a point. Number 2 from 1991, Rocket Ishmael.
The Rocket looks for a hole. If he gets to the outside this time, he's gone. The Rocket delivers the $1 million man.
Eskimos and Argos in 1996. Eddie Brown electrifies the crowd.
What a catch! Eddie Brown! Touchdown, Edmonton!
Coming up, we'll speak with former Ottawa Rough Rider defensive lineman, the hard-nosed Greg Marshall, when ESPN Classic Canada's 2004 Grey Cup Roadshow continues. Welcome back to the Grey Cup Roadshow right here on ESPN Classic Canada, and we're joined by our latest guest, Mr. Greg Marshall, currently the defensive coordinator for the Edmonton Eskimos, but a long-time Ottawa Rough Rider. Thanks for stopping by, Greg.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Enjoying Grey Cup week back in your old stomping ground?
Yeah, it's been good. I've seen a lot of familiar faces and been able to catch up on some things with people I haven't had the opportunity to visit in a long time.
Now, Greg, you're one of the few people that played for one football team in their career.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the best of Ottawa football, the worst of Ottawa football.
Right.
What are your thoughts about the time that you played those 9 years?
Well, unfortunately, we struggled a lot, particularly the mid to late 80s. But I have a lot of good memories of the city and the friends that I made here and the guys that I played with. I mean, those are the things that I remember the most. And, I don't worry too much about some of the wins and losses, because obviously the losses far outnumbered the win. But I was very fortunate to come to Ottawa in 1980 and play with a lot of good guys. The city treated me very well, and called Ottawa home for 14 years.
Yes. Now, in 1981, you made it to the Grey Cup game.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, we were probably about as big as underdog as you could be getting to the Grey Cup game. We had knocked off Hamilton. They were the Eastern champs, and I think they were like 12-4 that year. We went in. Our regular season record was 5-11. But what had happened, we started the season like 1-9 and picked up some NFL cuts and some guys that had been cut by other CFL teams, and all of a sudden we were pretty good the second half of the year. You know, we lost, we were 4-3, something like that, the last 7 games, and lost to Edmonton twice by, you know, a touchdown, I think, or in that neighborhood. So we felt good about our chances going in, surprised Hamilton, and we went down to Montreal to play Edmonton in the Grey Cup, you know, in the middle. It was the end of their 5-in-a-row deal. You know, so nobody was giving us much of a chance, so we had nothing to lose. We went down and played hard and came up a little bit short. Had a lot of fun.
And in that game, too, I mean, that was potentially one of the biggest upsets in Grey Cup history. You ended up losing at 26-23, but for a while, everybody was glued to it going, this could be the end of the dynasty right here for Edmonton.
Well, we jumped all over them early. I think some of their players might have had too good a time in Montreal during the week, to be honest with you. And, you know, I'm not sure how much they really thought we had, you know, we're going to give them. So we just come out, played hard, got on top of them early, and got a few breaks. And then, unfortunately, in the second half, I think they decided that, hey, we better get serious about this, and they came back and won the game. We had a couple of things that went against us in the second half and came out on the short end of it.
Now, you've also coached Grey Cup games, Grey Cup winning games, Grey Cup losing games. 97 was your first experience as a coach. What was that like, comparing it to being a player?
Well, obviously, I didn't get to enjoy much of the Grey Cup when I was there as a coach, especially the first time. The team we took into Saskatchewan, when I was with Saskatchewan, and we played Toronto with, you know, Doug Flutie. Of course, it was a little bit of a situation I felt like what we faced in '81.
Yeah.
You know, nobody gave us much of a chance other than the guys that were in the room. We had pulled off a big upset again to get there. We knocked off Edmonton in the Western Final, and so. You know, it was a little bit, I think some of our guys were satisfied that we made it, and we went there and gave it our best shot, but Toronto was a pretty good football team.
Really good football
But you had the opportunity to go back recently with the Edmonton Eskimos, and one of those turned out a little bit better.
Yeah, finally, you know, the first year in 2002 when we hosted it, we did everything right except the scoreboard, to be honest with you. You know, they say stats are for losers, and I guess we are because we lost the game. But we did, you know, we had more first. We moved up and down the field. Yeah. We did some good things against Anthony Cavillo and their offense, and unfortunately, they still pulled the game out and beat us. So it was very frustrating, and the whole focus then in 2003 was to get back and get another shot and finally get the thing right, which we did. So
now let's go back to 1981, because in '81 your quarterback was J.C. Watts.
Correct.
A young man that has made amazing strides down in the United States politically. What was he like as a quarterback? And do you ever think he'd be as successful or have the type of post-career that he has now?
Well, I mean, you never predicted the guy's going to become as powerful as he has in the political scene in the U.S., but J.C. was a very, you know, had a lot of charisma and was a great leader, and the guys loved playing with him. And you knew whatever he chose to do, he was going to be successful.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys that's got a great personality, and he knows how to take charge, and he's not afraid to go out and try to get it done. And it was a pleasure to play with him, and you know, we just had a lot of fun. He just went out and let it rip, and it was kind of contagious with the whole team.
Yeah, yeah.
J.C. Watts, that was the last time, by the way, that Ottawa has been to the Grey Cup. So some other names that we may have forgotten from that Grey Cup team.
Well, that was the last game Tony Gabriel played for Ottawa. And Tony was playing basically on one leg because he had torn a ligament in his knee the week before in the Eastern Final. And but, you know, he knew he was retiring, and he said there was no way that he was not going to play in the game. And so they braced him up, taped him up, and he went out there. And by the end of the game, he was basically hopping around on one leg, and he did some good things. You know, our running back was a guy named Sam Platt out of Florida State, who had a brief career in this league, but when he was here, he was very good. You know, defensively, we had a guy named Mike Raines playing next to me on the defensive line. We had Larry Brune, John Glassford, Rick Sobey, a lot of guys that actually ended up sticking around Ottawa or you know, in this area, and made a pretty good name for themselves. You know, Val Belcher was on our offensive line. we just had some hard-nosed guys. We didn't have a lot of flashy guys, but we had a bunch of guys that liked to play. And we went out and gave it our best.
Yeah, it certainly did. It was a memorable Grey Cup. I know you would have liked to have it turned out a little different, but memorable just the same, as was your career. And your coaching career continues to be just that. So thank you very much, Greg. Best of luck next season, wherever you may, whatever position you may have. We won't get into all of that.
Okay.
But thanks a lot, Greg, for taking the time to join us here at Grey Cup Week.
Thanks for having me on.
When we come back, we'll sit down with former CFL quarterback and current Ottawa Renegades head coach, Joe Pow, all on ESPN Classic Canada's 2004 Grey Cup Roadshow. Welcome back to Ottawa on the Aberdeen Pavilion here at the Grey Cup Roadshow on ESPN Classic Canada. And our next guest didn't have to come far, lives here year-round now, is the head coach of the Ottawa Renegades, Mr. Joe Pow. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Thank you, Dave. Good to be here again.
Former Ottawa Rough Rider. Is this your helmet? Did you bring this in?
Pretty close. You know, when you play quarterback, you have to wear the cages back then sometimes.
Okay.
Guys like Chris, you know what I mean?
You played here back in 1987, so I guess I'll start by asking you your memories of playing. You played also in Saskatchewan and BC, but specifically, what do you remember about playing here in Ottawa?
Well, you know, we had a cast of characters back then. Clarkey was our punter, and Jim Reed, and you know, Greg Marshall that you just had on. You know, some veteran crew guys, Rick Sovieta, and we got in an injury situation like we had this year, and we started off with 3-1. Before we knew it, we lost like 11 in a row. So it was a struggle, but you know what? You get to forge some real strong relationships back then.
Hey, Coach, you came here in 1978. What brought you from Long Beach State to the Canadian Football League? How did that story develop?
It's ironic. I was coaching at a college right after Long Beach State, and one of the coaches there played with Sam Echeverry, the rifle.
Wow.
And at the University of Denver. And he says, why aren't you playing anymore? And I says, well, I'm not sure what to do. So I wrote him a letter. Before I knew it, about 4 weeks later, I signed Bobby Ackles at a free agent camp. And
so Bobby Ackles found you?
He sure did. He sure did. So.
Well, you know, Bob Ackles has had his fingerprints on a lot of things in the league, hasn't he? He's really an underrated kind of talent guy over the years, hasn't he?
You know, when you start at where he started as a water boy, and you grow up, you see a lot of things. You understand how things work. And in football jargon, it's one of those ones, it's about the players. Particularly as equipment manager, you know the ones that are the stinkers and the ones that are the real deal. Yeah. And so, you know, and the thing I love about Bob, he's seen but he's not heard. You know, he understands, and he's a consummate pro.
Go back to 1983. That was the Grey Cup game for you. What are your impressions or fond memories or not so fond memories about that particular game?
Well, it's ironic. It was BC was playing Toronto.
Right.
The last time they played, and Condra Trolaway was the starter with Joe Barnes. Joe comes off the bench at the last quarter, and Bobo Village is the head coach. And before they know it, he drives down the last drive to Cedric Minner, and they win the game. But the thing that I remember the most, Dave, was Mervyn Fernandez coming a half an hour before the kickoff. He got stuck in traffic. And if you've ever been around metro cities like Toronto or Vancouver, you know, there's an accident and he got to get someplace.
Forget it,
And he runs in and he catches the first 5 balls thrown to him. So,
really?
You know what? Go figure.
So now, you're going to tell your players, hey, guys, if you get stuck in traffic, it's okay, because I know you're going to play well.
Well, you know, back then, they didn't have cell phones. So everybody's wondering, where's Merv?
that must have been scary. You're sitting there half an hour before the kickoff of a Grey Cup, sold out BC Place, Toronto, Vancouver, and the star is not there yet.
Well, you know, it's ironic. Don Matthews is our head coach. And he doesn't worry about anything.
No.
But I think he was looking around like, where is our guy? We had a great staff. Adam Rita was our offensive coordinator, Steve Rattle. You name it. We had Roy Shivers was our player personnel guy, and on staff as well. So, you know, we had the full complement of veteran coaches and the players. And, you know, what a game. It was the first year BC Place had opened in '83, and it was rocking.
It was sold out every single game. Now, also in the year 2000, you coached in a Grey Cup. Now, how is that different? Is that more work? You have any time to enjoy the week?
You know, it's ironic, as a quarterback in '83 and then as a coach and a coordinator in 2000, a lot of similarities.
Really?
Understanding and studying and knowing, just there's a need to know as a quarterback. I need to know up front what's happening, how they're going to block certain things, how to adjust the coverages and so forth. So that kind of helped me in my coaching career. But as a coach, you're one step, you're still emotional.
Yeah.
The butterflies are flowing, but once the whistle blows, you're fine. You're prepped, and it's you just let the players play. And what a game! We got a big lead. They come roaring back with Calvillo, and Jock Hyman was playing at the time, and it came down to the last minute. And two distinctive teams. We ran the ball extremely well.
Very well.
Our two running backs were MVPs, Robert Drummond and Sean Millington. And but Calvillo comes back and brings him back with a typical CFL classic Grey Cup game.
You were the offensive coordinator that year for the Lions, and your quarterback, of course, was Damon Allen, who's playing in the game this year. Talk to us about the experience and Damon Allen in a Grey Cup. He's been in a few now.
There's a saying that I really love. The great players play when in the great games.
Yes.
Not the big games, the great games. And if he's never won the most valuable player, but he's won the award that really counts, the MVP of the Grey Cup.
That's right.
And what a pleasure to work with that I was going to say young man, and he's younger than me.
Yeah, but
the fact that he's a consummate pro, he makes you look good as a coach. You don't coach some of the things they do.
Yeah.
The spontaneity to their play, the fact that they can improvise and just react to situations is incredible.
When they can improvise, it makes the coach's job a lot easier. Like when they can make those plays out of structure, makes everyone look good.
Well, including linemen.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be the first one to admit that. Yes.
And so, I've been fortunate to be been associated with Doug Flutie, Matt Dunnigan, Danny Mack, that I've worked with them as their coach. But, Damon Allen is one of those special guys that, I'm not sure he gets enough credit for his, what people don't know what they're witnessing over the last 20 years. Because he's not really a strong personality.
No, he doesn't talk about himself either.
No.
Never.
And I think that's the longevity that, he's comfortable in his skin.
Yes.
He's secure to know, hey, I can play, and just give me the ball and get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Very, very true. Joe, enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and good luck to you, the Renegades, next season.
Thank you.
Joe Pow on the Grey Cup Roadshow.